Christopher Columbus is frequently highlighted in school classes as the first non-indigenous explorer to land on American shores. However, shocking discoveries undermine this commonly held belief. Egyptian maps over 5,000 years old remarkably depict America and relay another historical record, potentially forcing a rewrite of history books. This video digs into the history of these old maps, one in the form of paintings and another on an egg. Paintings that featured maps of both the Old World and the American continent were discovered at a site in what was formerly known as Hierakonpolis, or Nekhen in ancient times. Consider Nekhen, a flourishing metropolis in pre-dynasty Egypt, to better appreciate the map's existence. It served as Upper Egypt's religious and political capital, yielding numerous artifacts. However, none of these artifacts have the same significance as the map-bearing murals. Trained eyes immediately recognized that these paintings were more than decorative items because they featured recognizable continent outlines. The accuracy of other geographic features is also very high. Scanning the paintings for just a few minutes will reveal the American continent. How did the artists know how to incorporate the American continent into the artwork? It clearly had to be that the painters and the civilization to which they belong were aware of the continent's existence, or at the very least had contact with America's indigenous people. This conclusion implies that transoceanic trips occurred millennia before explorers such as Christopher Columbus made their voyages. Did the ancient Egyptians send explorers across the Atlantic? Did they have significant interactions with the civilizations of America? Aside from the map of America in these paintings, there are also maps of Europe that astound viewers with their realism. They depict the outlines of Europe, Asia, and Africa. They even depict well-known elements such as the Nile River, the Mediterranean Sea, and the mountain ranges of Europe and Asia. The map makers must have been explorers themselves, or had access to a database of geographical knowledge gathered over time through international trade or travel. Researchers were especially impressed by the map's artistic style and painting techniques, indicating the high quality of their work. They employed natural hues and crisp line work. But perhaps their biggest accomplishment is making us reconsider our assumptions about the first non-indigenous individuals to set foot on American soil. If you think that's incredible, just wait until we tell you about the Nagada culture and the mysterious Nubian egg. They have the potential to overturn everything you've learned about history. Let us start with the Nagada culture. This was a thriving culture in Egypt between 4300 and 3000 BCE, long before the pharaohs emerged. This made the culture the cradle of civilization in ancient Egypt. This period in history saw the formation of early settlement patterns and advancements in crafts. It was also during this period that trade networks began to emerge, laying the groundwork for ancient Egypt's cultural and political evolution. According to academics, one of the most intriguing characteristics of the Nagada way of life was the abundance of artifacts it produced. These artifacts have contributed significantly to our understanding of Egyptian society, religion, and artistic works. Now, for the Nubian egg. This was not an ordinary egg. Aside from its stunning artistry, this one-of-a-kind egg has sparked passionate debate over the origin and history of ancient Egyptian civilization and the degree of the ancient Egyptians' knowledge of the Americas. Malib Cecil, a British archaeologist, discovered the egg in 1907. It is presently housed in the Museum of Nubia, South Egypt. The Nubian egg dates back over 7,000 years, and its survival is nothing short of miraculous. It was discovered in a burial site associated with the time when the central Nile Valley was teeming with early settlers or the very pioneers of civilization. The egg was originally an ostrich eggshell with elaborate decorations. The egg's designs are abstract and contentious. It shows 3 triangles on opposite sides with horizontal lines running through them. A skinny snake sits beside these triangles, with a large globule etching on the other side. Many experts believe the triangles symbolize pyramids, namely the 3 largest pyramids on the Gaza Plateau, the Pyramid of Khafra, the Pyramid of Mena, and the Great Pyramid of Khufu. The snake is said to represent the Nile River. With the Nubian egg discovered in Lower Egypt, it is no surprise that some researchers are asking questions. Recall that the egg was dated to be approximately 7,000 years old. According to current opinion, the pyramids are just 4,600 years old. So, how did the egg come to represent pyramids built thousands of years after it was designed? Or is it possible that the pyramids are thousands of years older than previously thought? There has long been criticism of the traditional methods used to date the Giza pyramids. There are also claims of evidence falsification. One of these is the controversy involving Colonel Howard Weiss. This colonel claimed to have uncovered painted marks in the Great Pyramid's relieving rooms. The name of Khufu was discovered in these painted symbols, and he was credited with building the pyramid. This information was subsequently utilized to date the pyramid. The problem was that some researchers felt that Weiss may have made up these marks to establish himself in the area and ensure his position in history. This claim has prompted many people to question the colonel's character and what it may entail if he falsified the proof. On the other hand, others have offered evidence suggesting the pyramids are approximately 8,000 years old. They also discuss how the pyramids correspond to various astronomical phenomena that indicate an earlier age in history. They also look for evidence that humans in past civilizations had the equipment and abilities to build such large monuments. They appeal to geological evidence, such as weathering patterns. Dr. Robert Skock, a geologist and Boston University professor, has investigated this line of thought. His research on the Sphinx, which has guarded the Giza pyramids for millennia, focused on weathering patterns. Skock's interest in the age of the Sphinx was piqued when he noticed peculiar erosion patterns that did not appear to correspond with what one would anticipate from wind and sand, the principal erosion agents in Egypt's environment. Skock noticed a vertical and undulating erosion pattern on the Sphinx's enclosure, which appeared to be produced by running water. This suggests the Sphinx had been subjected to extended periods of intense rainfall, resulting in deep weathering of the limestone bedrock. Other sources corroborate that such climatic conditions have not existed in the Giza Plateau for thousands of years. Historians agree that during the Neolithic subpluvial period, which lasted from 10,000 to 5,000 years BCE, the Sahara had a moist environment, allowing rivers and lakes to flourish. Based on this information, we are left to conclude that the Sphinx was built sometime before 5,000 years BCE, which is before the Egyptian dynasty. Other traditional stories support the theory that the pyramids were built much earlier. One story is that of Al-Makrisi. Al-Makrisi, a medieval Egyptian historian, argued that Pharaoh Khufu did not build the Great Pyramid, but that it was the biblical character King Saurid, better known as Enoch in Hebrew. Enoch predicted the Great Flood and ordered the pyramid to be built as a repository of knowledge and a storage facility for civilization's essence. Let's return to the Nubian egg. There have been doubts over why the pyramids appear twice on the Nubian egg. What if the portrayal followed a seasonal or worldwide convention, with the pyramids and the Nile River representing the dry and rainy seasons, respectively? The fact that the Nile on the egg is not the same width supports this theory, implying that the river's volume varies depending on the season or time of year. This could suggest that, while the Nubian egg portrays pyramids and a river, the design was inspired by the shifting seasons. There is another noteworthy feature towards the top of the egg, and aficionados of the lost city of Atlantis will enjoy this one. The egg contains numerous concentric circles surrounding a small aperture at the top. According to some researchers, these circles are reminiscent of Plato's Critias from circa 360 BC. Plato discussed Atlantis in the literary works with a brief description that says, making alternate zones of sea and land larger and smaller, encircling one another. There were 2 of land and 3 of water, which he turned as with a lathe, each having its circumference equidistant every way from the center. Could this suggest that the Nubian egg depicted both Egyptian and Atlantean civilizations? If there is a geographical resemblance, Atlantis may not be that far away from Egypt. Perhaps this adorned egg from thousands of years ago will aid in the search for the fabled lost city of Atlantis. But tell us your thoughts in the comments below, and remember to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.